Today, I will be presenting about beekeeping and honey extracting. My introduction. Beekeeping is a very structured and lengthy process for those who have bees. Guess that's why they're called busy bees, right? With beekeeping, it involves the process of bees bringing in products from the colony to help the humans. Bees typically are active most in the spring and the summer months, whereas in winter, they do this thing called overwintering, and they stay in their hives so they can avoid the cold. What is beekeeping? Beekeeping is the process of honeybees bringing in products from the outside nature, and in their adventures, they collect honey, they make honey, they bring in propolis, beeswax, royal jelly, and pollen. How do bees collect these products to transfer them to a different location? For some of these products, bees are able to use the stiff hairs on their legs to collect things such as pollen. With this, they take the specialized brush or pockets on their bodies in order to transfer the product to the hive. And once they make it to the hive, they will create pollen, products, and honey. Where is propolis found and what is it used for? According to WebMD, propolis is a resin-like material made by bees from the buds of poplar and cone-bearing trees. Some of the uses for propolis include building hives. They help fight against bacteria and fungi within the hive, and they're also used to help seal cracks and help create a protective barrier on the comb of the hive. Do beehives need to be moved in order for bees to stay in an area to pollinate? The simple answer is no. Bees are, when they go to scavenge and they collect pollen and bring it into the hive, they can stay in their same designated area on the land, and they will travel within a few miles from their hive. I think it's 5 miles from their hive is like the max, but moving them is beneficial. For example, some farmers and some beekeepers take their bees to pollinate like pumpkin fields or watermelon fields, just to give the bees a different type of variety to collect from. Why bees are important to nature? According to Woodland Trust, bees play a huge part in helping to prop up our ecosystem. The help of bees not only helps the plant, trees, flowers, and other parts of nature, but it helps the animals to survive as well with the food that bees help create for both humans and animals. Without the help of bees, the world would be very different, and we would be lacking a lot of our crops for our food, as well as trees and other things in nature. How many would be affected yearly without bees? According to Greenpeace, a study claims that the global economic loss of if bees had disappeared would be nearly a $5.7 billion loss each year. What type of benefits do bees bring to humans? Bees work to pollinate the crops and help to produce our food. They also try to keep their hives stable with balancing the bringing in of the pollen and pollinating our crops. In a year's time, bees work to pollinate nearly a third of our world's food. That means out of every 3 bites we put into our mouths, it is pollinated by honeybees. Are beekeepers helping to save our life's goods? Those who raise bees definitely work to do what they love with bees, but beekeepers do play a big role in helping save our nature and our crops that are being produced. Without those bees and without the beekeepers bringing in bees, bees could become extinct, and we could have a loss of a lot of our trees and crops. What does it mean to extract honey? To extract honey means to remove from the comb, but how it is done makes it part of the extraction. In order to extract honey, a beekeeper must build up their hives for at least a year before they will get any outcome of honey coming from the hive. This is because they have to get the hive stable enough to where the bees are able to produce honey, and they have to have enough time to build up for the production of honey. To many, bees can produce honey on command, but this is far from the truth. Bees take a lot of care and time to get the reward, such as honey. What are the steps of extracting honey? Step 1, start by taking the bee supers away from the bee yard. This will ensure that the bees will not be able to bother you when you start the extraction of the honey from the honeycomb. Step 2, the next step is to figure out which way you want to extract the honey. There's 2 methods, either keeping the comb in or moving the honey from the comb. Most people prefer to extract the honey directly from the comb rather than keeping it in. Some people do like having the comb with their honey, so it's all preference. According to the Carolina honeybees, they say that some beekeepers do the crush and strain method, which does not use an extractor. With the crush and strain method, they just take the honey comb and they crush it with their hands, and then they'll put it through like a cheesecloth material to strain it. With the process of actually extracting the honey with an extracting machine, you crank it and it will spin the honey out of the comb once it has been punctured before spinning. The extraction of honey is one of the most rewarding times of the years for beekeepers, as well as being able to keep their hives alive over the winter months. I know that this is always a struggle, and it's definitely rewarding to know when spring rolls around that the beekeepers' hives are still alive. Conclusion, bees are a staple to our world, whether you believe it or not. They play such a huge part in our production of our goods and keeping the world alive in general. And their products that they create are so delicious, and it's hard to understand how big of a factor it plays for them to have the creation of honey for us, and what all goes into the creation of honey. And my citations.